Which real estate brokerage should you choose? Well, I've been a realtor for a few years now, and I've had the privilege of being exposed to tons of different brokerages through meetings, interviews, events, and more. And here's my honest review of the top real estate brokerages in Ontario. Okay, first of all, we have RE/MAX, and RE/MAX dominates about 30% of the residential real estate transactions in Canada. And they have tons of great features. First, high productivity. RE/MAX is known as one of the most competitive and successful brokerages because their agents consistently produce high numbers. Second of all, they have competitive splits. So because their agents are so high producing, RE/MAX can afford to give really nice splits such as 90-10 or 95-5 because of these agents that have been there for many, many years. And so a lot of times you're going to see different RE/MAX branches and other ones as well that will offer a certain cap commission limit, which means once you make this amount of money, after that amount, then you can keep up to 100% of your commission in some cases. Third, obviously, RE/MAX is amongst one of the most well-known brands in the world for real estate, and it goes the same way in Canada. And so this can be really useful if you end up joining RE/MAX. As soon as you tell someone about your brokerage, they're automatically going to know, and they sort of kind of have this trust with you now. And fourth, there's tons of great training. So RE/MAX has been around for many, many years. And so this makes them one of the best brokerages in terms of training because they have so many years to refine this, and they constantly have this very high quality agent culture that has made the training really, really well as well. So it kind of feeds in agents, they train them well, they become high producing, and they feed back into the training. Now, there are two big issues, however, with RE/MAX. The first is that RE/MAX can get very, very expensive. Their monthly fees can range anywhere from $300 to $2,500 a month, depending on which branch you're joining. And that can be a lot, especially for new agents. If you're trying to start out, this can be really, really hard for you when all your money is going towards monthly fees. So a lot of times you're going to find that if you do join a RE/MAX branch, you're going to see there's a lot of experienced agents who kind of know what they're doing. And it's because a RE/MAX charges such a high amount that these agents can afford it. And second, there's a lot of internal competition. Because of the high quality of agents, because of the high pricing, you're only going to find people that are really, really serious about real estate. And this can make the branch culture a little bit less collaborative, a little bit less cooperative. You're going to see people probably not helping you as much and probably not wanting to help you because it's going to waste their time. Now remember, RE/MAX is one of the oldest brokerages in Canada. So they're coming up on almost 50 years in the residential real estate market in Canada. And so this has given them a lot of time to build a lot of this quality, this kind of brand, this recognition that they have amongst the people. But it's not necessarily going to be benefit to you if you're a new agent especially. It can be really helpful if you know what you're doing, but initially this might be hard, especially with the high costs. Okay, now on to number two, and that is LePage. These guys are the oldest brokerage on our list, and they were founded in 1913 in Toronto, Ontario. And so these guys hold about 20% of the residential real estate market today in Canada, and still are kind of RE/MAX's biggest competitors. So similarly, LePage has tons of great benefits. For one, they're very Canadian focused, and because of this, they have a very strong brand recognition, especially in Toronto and Ontario itself. So as soon as you say LePage, similar to RE/MAX, a lot of people are going to know the name, and a lot of people are going to trust it. And in a similar way to RE/MAX, because they've been around for so long, their training and their mentorship programs are also very, very good as well. They've had the time to produce these high quality agents, which like I said with RE/MAX, it creates this kind of cycle of creating high quality agents, those agents coming back, working for the brokerage and helping making the training better. Now, what makes their training great is their mentorship programs. And so this is unlike RE/MAX, who are not as great in that mentorship side. You're going to find LePage is going to be a little bit more inclusive, a little bit more cooperative than you're going to see in RE/MAX. Now, of course, there's still going to be internal competition. It's still one of the biggest brokerages in Canada, but people might be slightly more willing to help. And especially if you're joining a team, you're going to find that's going to accelerate things for you, especially if you're a new agent. Now, there are two main negative points, which can really vary a lot depending on what branch you're joining. For one, the splits will vary a lot depending on the branch that you're going to join for LePage. You can get anything from really cheap and zero monthly fees to really expensive and tons of monthly fees. So this goes for the splits and this goes for the monthly fees both, and even desk fees as well. In general, LePage has made their splits and their monthly fees lower than RE/MAX just so they can be more competitive and they can attract a lot more new agents. And the second is outdated tech. Now, LePage is one of the oldest brokerages in Canada. We'll have a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of systems that might be outdated, that have been there for years and years and years, that they haven't changed. Now, again, this isn't in the whole brokerage. It's not going to reflect every single branch either, but you might find that they're a little bit more on the older style of the way that they do business versus potentially some newer brokerages like EXP, for example. Okay, third, we got Century 21. Now, Century 21, they hold about 8 to 10% of the residential real estate market in Canada, and they have a huge focus on personalized training. So Century 21 has tons of great features. The first being they have a large global network. Now, this is similar to RE/MAX and Royal LePage, but C21, they're also very global. They're in many different countries, and so that can potentially help you depending on if you want to do real estate in a different country. Now, secondly, C21 has also been known as a sort of luxury brand over the years, and they've transitioned to make it a bit more accessible, but they are also big in the premium market. And so if that is something that interests you as a new agent, then this could be a brokerage that is worth looking into. And finally, they have tons of heavy investments in tech as one of the newer brokerages. So you might find a lot more updated systems, CRMs, and different things that can help you in your daily job as a real estate agent. And the mentorship programs at C21 are huge. They have something called C21 University. And this is meant to prepare you as a new real estate agent to get into the actual industry and to get all the skills that you should be getting. Now, I know a lot of programs in brokerages can be very vague. They're going to say training, they're going to say mentorship, and you don't actually know what it's going to include. But C21 University, it's been around for a few years, and it's been constantly trained and constantly tested. And so because they've made it this sort of program, it's going to be very consistent. And from reviews I've heard, it's going to be similar to what you're actually going to need for real life. Now, there are two negative points as well. One of them, like with all the other brokerages, the splits can vary widely depending on what branch you're at. So keep in mind that your experience with one branch is not going to be the same with another one. And second, because C21 is global, you might find that their focus as a company might be more in global markets than the local Canadian market itself. And so this is not going to really affect you directly, but it might affect you indirectly, as you might not be able to get access to the help that you want, and you might not see as much innovation or updates in terms of training or different resources to help you as an agent, because C21 is focused on expanding their global brand. Okay, next up we got EXP. This is one of the fastest growing brokerages in the world and also in Canada as well, and they're a fully remote virtual based brokerage. Now, they got tons of great features. One of them is obviously they got this innovative cloud-based model. So there are no physical locations, everything's virtual, everything's online. Second is because they don't have these physical locations, their overhead is actually really low, and this helps them invest a lot of money into these virtual trainings and this technology like CRMs and different database systems that can help you in your job as a realtor. And so this can be really helpful as a new agent especially. Now the third is commission splits. So EXP has a very standard split for all of their brokerages, all of their branches. And what this means is you're going to get an 80-20 split. However, you have a $16K commission cap for the year, meaning after you earn $16,000 in commission, you get to keep 100% of your commission after that. And so this can be very helpful for agents that are just starting out, and even for experienced agents who really just want to retain as much commission as possible. Okay, now for the cons. So although EXP seems very, very cool, they're the new hip virtual brokerage, a lot of their pros have also been a lot of their cons as well. So for one, the fact of not having physical locations means they have more money to invest in different things, but it also means that you're not going to get that in-person atmosphere as a real estate agent. You're not going to be able to go into branch offices and meet people and kind of be able to motivate yourself based on meeting brokerages and brokers and different agents. Similarly, although they're very tech heavy and you might have better tools than other agents, you do have to motivate yourself a lot. Right? All the trainings are online, so you got to be the one to go there and actually go online and watch and study yourself. No one's going to actually be there beside you. This is very different than physical offices, which hold events and meetups, and you can talk and have these discussions, which you can still do online. But as we all know from COVID, they're not exactly the same, and being in person really does make a big, big difference. Now, the last point is the pyramid scheme model critique. Now, EXP has tried to argue against this, saying that they're not a pyramid scheme. Now, the way EXP works is you can recruit agents who you're allowed then to take part of their commission from then on. And those agents you recruit are allowed to recruit more people. And those ones recruited are allowed to recruit more and more and more, and so on and so forth. And so now you have this kind of multi-level marketing, this MLM model, this pyramid scheme model. Now, the great thing with this is that, yeah, you're going to get tons of money if you're on the top end of that line. However, if you're on the bottom end, it kind of sucks. And it also means you're going to have people that are pegging EXP and going to promote it to you without actually wanting it for your benefit. They're not actually going to care about whether it's good for you or not, because they're only thinking about their commission. Now, EXP has tried to backlash against this, saying that, they don't offer upfront fees, which doesn't make it a pyramid scheme, but in reality, it is a pyramid scheme based on your commission. So again, not something to totally deter you from EXP, but it's something to keep in mind. And this has made a lot of turnover happen at a lot of EXP branches. And EXP is one of the brokerages with the highest turnover rates amongst all of the real estate brokerages. And that's simply just because a lot of people get in fast, but they also leave just as fast. But nevertheless, you do have a lot of people that do like the EXP, they do like the virtual model. And so if that's your thing, it's worth looking into. Okay, next up is Keller Williams. These guys have been around since the 1980s, and they were founded in Texas and have since made their way globally. Now, their features include cap commission systems, which is similar to some of the other brokerages we saw, which typically, although the branches vary, you're going to see something like a 70-30 split. And then after that, you might have a commission cap of something from like 18 to 25K. And after that, you're allowed to keep 100% of your commission for the year. Second is they have this insane mentorship and training program. It's called the KW Ignite. It's similar to the C21 University, but this program is actually 30 to 60 days. That's meant to be a sort of boot camp for new starting agents. And so it's actually really highly rated. It really helps you kind of dive into what you actually need to get started. And it really kick fronts you into actually getting the deals done, getting the leads, because a lot of new agents struggle with confidence and they struggle with consistency and they just don't know what to do. So this program is actually really, really good. It's been really refined and it's based on the US. So although it might not seem very applicable, some of their methods actually do work really well in the Canadian market as well. Third is their collaborative culture. So unlike some of the bigger brokerages, KW is actually pretty collaborative and pretty cooperative. If you do end up joining a branch, you're probably going to find that the branches might have smaller number of agents and you might be able to join a team. And usually that team adopts you because you're contributing to them and you're helping everybody earn commission in that way as well. So if you haven't considered joining a team, not just at KW, but any brokerage, then it's worth doing to kind of get started and get on the right foot and really learn from people that have already been in the industry for a while. Now for the negatives, of course, we're going to have varying splits, which means your experience is different with every branch. You're not really going to be able to tell whether one branch is going to be better than the other without visiting and talking to the broker. And the second is that they're actually a corporate franchise model, which means some brokerages, some of the branches are corporate owned and some of them are just franchisees. And this can create a little bit of distinction in terms of some of the branches are going to be doing very different things than some of the other ones. And you might have a bit of inconsistency in that regard if you're trying to kind of get help outside of your branch or maybe from the head office. It can be a little bit harder depending on what branch you join. Okay, now for the last one, this is the bonus. This is actually the brokerage that I'm at, which is called SaveMax Real Estate. And so I figured, I might as well share the brokerage I'm at and why I joined them. And so SaveMax, they were actually one of the newer brokerages in Canada. And so they were established in 2011 and they have a huge focus in cheap fees and a lot of really, really good training. Okay, so among some of the features, they got tons of trainings. So they're really constantly rolling out trainings almost every month. And they got tons of live events with the actual owner of the entire company. And it's really, really helpful and it's really inspiring because they're very accessible. You can contact higher up, you can contact the corporate office if you need to, really at any time for any kind of service whatsoever. Now, although they release a lot of trainings, they might not be as extensive or well made as the C21 University or KW Ignite, just because they haven't been around for that long, but that doesn't make them terrible. They're actually still really, really good. And sometimes consistency is better than just doing the training once and not doing anything for the rest of the year. Second is their commission splits. So they're actually very competitive and they offer some of the cheapest amongst most of the brokerages in Canada, really cheap commission splits and almost zero monthly fees most of the time. Now, the rules might have changed and they might be implementing new things in the future depending on when you're watching this video. But as of now, they are actually still one of the cheapest options out there. And lastly, they're actually corporate owned. And so this is really good. Like I mentioned before, you can get services from the head office itself because a lot of their services are in-house because they own all of the franchisees. Now, it's a similar kind of corporate franchise-owned structure. They do have franchisees, but corporate retains a percentage in those franchises. And so there's a kind of split of control. You do have to follow basic rules, but there are other things that the corporate company will allow the franchises to do alone. This just in general creates more collaborativeness, more cohesiveness. It makes it more accessible for new agents. And so it's much easier depending on what kind of help you're looking for. Okay, now 2 negative points. So first of all, they don't have as great of a brand recognition as some of the other brokerages. People might not exactly know what they are all the time, which can be just a little bit annoying if you're meeting people, especially as a new agent. You're just going to have a little bit more confidence because they might not have heard of it. Second, they have a lot of internal competition. So because it's one of the cheaper brokerages, it's going to have tons of competition in terms of people maybe not as willing to help you, people not really affording their time, because there's just going to be a lot of people that aren't really producing at the brokerage at all, right? Similarly, we're going to have tons of high producing agents. Those people are going to meet a lot of the low producing agents because it's a cheap brokerage. And so you might find that if you're maybe a new agent, a lot of the really good agents who are doing well might not want to kind of put their time into you because they don't really know if you're going to be worth it. However, I found personally that there are a lot of people that you can find, especially at the brokerage itself, especially the brokers and the owners of the company who are willing to get you started if you're young, if you're new, and if you're willing to kind of put in the effort. Okay, to summarize everything all together, if you're experienced and you want to maximize your earnings, then RE/MAX is the best option. If you're looking for someone with an established Canadian presence with really good training, then you're going to want to choose Royal LePage. If you're looking for a more intimate brokerage with a lot of personalized mentorship, then Century 21 is going to be the one you want to choose. If you're looking for a modern, low-cost virtual brokerage, then you're going to want to choose EXP. And for the last two, if you're looking for really good training, support, and collaboration, then Keller Williams is going to be a great option. And finally, if you're looking for a sort of low cost where you can maximize your commissions, and at the same time it's a modern brokerage with tons of great training, then SaveMax is going to be the one for you. So again, just check out this list depending on which one you're really looking for, what's your priority, and hopefully this helps a little bit. And if you have other brokerages that I didn't cover, please list them down below and maybe I can do a video on them in the future. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully that helped. If it did, give me a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. See ya.